talked a fair amount of times on this channel about the anime community and how much it likes to flip-flop like a damn beetle during beetle battle inside of Genshin Impact. It flip-flops a lot, and it's not necessarily something that, you know, people really care for anymore these days, right? Because 2012 and on back down, you got people like, dang, anime sure is fire, it sounds like a great time. What do you mean there's a jiggle physics show? Can I watch? And it was a fine time. Sure, not everybody still agreed on, you know, every little thing, but it's way less damaging than it is now, where everybody basically passed 2020, and really 2020 really did it with all the illness and everything. And when it comes down to it, just literally having, you know, people coming through now just, you know, bombarding themselves and hating anime. Or like they say they like anime, but then they hate every literal aspect of it, or they have a flip-flop standpoint where essentially they just like, I really don't like this female getting used in all these sexual difference of all these ways, but this man being used and abused, yes, we very much like to see that. It's gay, so we are here for it. And it's always weird every single time, and it's a constant thing that don't really seem to be going away whatsoever, and it's just shit. It's just bad, and I hate every second of it. Literally, that is how it is. But when it comes down to, you know, everything else as the sorts, just to keep it very much stacked, the anime community, at least on the western side, is just hot ass. It is garbage. In the olden times of my youth, it is gay. just to be absolutely real. I don't know why all this caused it. Well, actually, I won't even say that, because most likely the reason why it got worse now is probably due to the whole COVID thing, because that shit literally locked people into their rooms where they can't get out. So they decided to take that negative energy that they usually save for everyday life and put that shit directly, inject that shit into the online space, because of course they can. And this is when I realized too, this is why I want certain niches to just stay that niches and not necessarily be something that, you know, a lot of people get into, which granted, anime was kind of always going to do that anyway, so I'm not surprised. But I wish it didn't do it in the way it had, or at least I wish we had a little bit more time than what we currently got, because a lot of that shit is just very annoying. Like, imagine back in the early 2000s, you find somebody outside of your own house trying to, you know, talk about some anime. That shit was a rarity. That shit was a blessing in disguise. It was basically like trying to find a Kingdom Hearts fan in the wild, which sometimes, still trying to find a Kingdom Hearts fan in the wild, is very hard to do. But when it comes down to it though, more people will come through to actually, you know what that is, and then they'll go ahead and just be like, yeah, I heard that sort of thing. That's how it was. It was a rarity. We got happy when we found somebody that's within the same space as us. But now, because everybody's a part of it, it doesn't feel nearly as special. You will get basically on some nonsensical time and, you know, get hit with all different types of accusations because you watch anime and the anime that you watched is weird, quote unquote, and all that sort of stuff. And it's just not fun. Genuinely, it just really isn't fun. And that's why you have to have some type of thicker skin to kind of essentially just say F these people and let me enjoy my shit in peace. If you're gonna enjoy some random ass ecchi show, then you're gonna have to enjoy that shit while you have screaming haters that are outside your door that literally wants to go ahead and burn your house down. It is what it is. Your house is fireproof as long as you ignore these people, and that's essentially how it goes. Same thing with literally any other parts of anime or any part of any topic whatsoever. That's just how it goes. And it's not even just for anime's sake, but literally any and all hobby that you consider something that you like or you enjoy, you're gonna basically have to ignore literally everybody on the internet. Especially if you're on the internet a lot, you're gonna have to ignore everybody's opinion, because literally kiss ass. That's literally all it comes down to. Like, what do you know about my shit? Why should I switch up in some shape and form because you don't like a specific thing? If I want to see some titties and that's my favorite thing in anime, then that's my favorite thing. See, nowadays, people have definitely gotten a lot more comfortable just yapping away, talking about all these other egregious ass things, doing a lot of these wilding things to other people just because of certain aspects of a certain show that someone else liked that another person doesn't. And so they'll basically ruin the other person's life just because of that. Back in the day, you had nothing like this. Back in the day, you could say freely what you honestly didn't really like about certain shows. You could easily say that, get into like a mini little debate, and that's kind of about it. You're not really going to get into a fist fight or someone's going to leak your address or something like that. That's just not how it is back then, right? Someone can literally walk up to you reading a yaoi book and be like, ha, that shit's mad gay. It basically is like, it's not for me, I would say, right? But you know, I ain't saying you won't have to stop reading it, but like, it ain't for me. It's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of weird. Which that's just kind of how it was. No one was really, you know, bitching and complaining, and 500,000 people of a certain community wasn't on your ass because you said, oh, yaoi is kind of weird and gay, and that's just how it was, right? It was just a damn debate, and you know, that's kind of how it was. And it wasn't even that big of a debate. Like I said, it was just something, a little mini thing. Nowadays, again, as I said, if you were to say something like that, literally everyone will hound you for literally all kinds of ways and reasons just to make you, you know, kind of fold under the pressure. I mean, if we're gonna be honest, that already has been happening for quite a long time too, especially if you look at, especially in the case of this new generation. And the one big thing that we have seen constantly time and over again that just progressively gets worse every time you look at the situation is with Chibi Reviews. Literally, if you look at the Chibi Reviews saga throughout the whole thing, what started it? It was literally the whole Don moment where Momo and homeboy, I can't remember his name, I think Ken or whatever, but essentially they kind of went through, slid into the hallway butt ass naked, or at least almost butt ass naked and whatever, and essentially after fighting that whole demon or alien or whatever the hell, essentially they had to run their asses out of the damn school because of, obviously, they looking mad precarious in that, you know, position and everything like that. And that's literally all the scene was. That's literally all the text in the tweets was talking about. When that shit gets animated, whoo boy, that's all that was. And lo and behold, now you got people out here just straight up doxing hard as hell, straight up going at them for all kinds of reasons. And it's just wild. Literally posting illegal content on this man's, like, what, DeviantArt page was it? Or whatever the hell? And then try to stalk their family photos and stuff like that. It's just weird. It's just extremely weird. And I couldn't even begin to, you know, explain the feelings of Chibi in that situation. That's a shitty situation no one should be put into. In fact, this is one of those moments where it's like, if this was literally anybody else, especially a higher up official or a higher up person, I promise you, this shit would be done literally by like 2 days time. This shit would be done by 2 days time, and that you wouldn't have any more issues when it comes down to it. Or if this was on some wider known way in how things go, I promise you the crackdown on a lot of internet shit will at least be acknowledged at some point in time that it needs to happen. And you know, the shit that has been going on with Chibi would need to stop immediately, which should stop anyway, but it is what it is. But it just sucks to see that situation, and that's just one situation. And then other times you might want to talk about that sort of thing, and then you want to, you know, talk about how bullshit it is, but at the very same time, your ass could be next. Your ass could get attacked, right? That's why I haven't done a video on that situation. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I hate it for him. I'm not gonna lie, but I've been attacked before. I don't want to go ahead and go through that again, at least not now or at all, really. So I would rather not, but that's just how it is, because now people online are just assholes for literally no reason, and they just go ahead and hate on you for, again, no reason, and will do anything and everything just to make sure that you look like a terrible person when you're not. Which also leads me into the topic of lollies, because of course it will. When it comes down to it, lollies has been something that has been a weird thing in anime for a long time. I think we all agree collectively lolli can be weird, but pretty much everything in anime is. But when it comes down to it though, the one thing I would say that pissed me off more than anything, outside of the random attacks and, you know, people hating on you and all that sort of stuff, which can be very annoying to deal with, but the one thing I will say, and just get kind of serious right here with this, is the fact that there is certain individuals that will go along the internet trying to find certain illegal content, I think you know which type, and essentially will use lolli to kind of, you know, find those type of people and do whatever, right? So they can find that type of material and try to use lolli in the cover of that, right? Which is incredibly shit, right? Which is incredibly shit. And I cannot stress enough how annoying that shit is. I've only ran into it like a few times where someone was trying to ask for something and I reported them right after, you know, like right after that or whatever. And essentially it just so ass. It genuinely is, because I remember having, or at least I seen a whole like Nahida picture, and she looking mad fine, looking mad cute, but the problem is the text that was in the middle of it, and it was something like send me something or DM me or whatever the hell that is, and it's just so ass, right? Because you're basically taking something that never had anything to do with that and just trying to take that and just be like, yeah, we're gonna use that for nefarious deeds and actual illegal deeds and all that sort of stuff. And it's just shit. It's just so shit. And it's like, if you see, you know, and if you see like one person that does that, and it kind of puts into perspective how many people have been doing using similar content like a regular Nahida drawing or whatever, and essentially use that just to get whatever the hell illegally they try to go get. It's so shit, which is why oftentimes, you know, when you do see that, immediately report that shit and shame the hell out of them and call that shit out, definitely, because it's something for sure that does not need to be in existence. Unfortunately, we are fighting a losing battle when it comes down to it, because there will always be people that will seek that sort of stuff out for whatever reason, and there will be multiple different platforms where we just can't, you know, fight everything at once, so it will always be there, unfortunately. But at the very same time, you know, I wish it wasn't just involved with lolli as the fictional side of things, instead of trying to go ahead and find any type of real thing out there that you should not have or should not try to find. And just to kind of really think about it a little bit more, like back in the day, this shit wasn't a thing. No one was really using a random picture of Kana or some other picture of like Anya or whatever, trying to hide behind that or try to be a fake lolicon or whatever, just to essentially use that to get something very much not good. And essentially you didn't have that back then. You didn't have that. No one was thinking to do that back then, and now all of a sudden, like, this shit has been, unfortunately, a thing. This shit has been a thing that takes people's actual artwork and then use it for bullshit ass reasons, illegal ass reasons, and it sucks every single time, right? Again, if you encounter something like that, for sure report that shit and call that shit out. Again, it may not do much, but we can prevent some shit from happening. That'd be great. That's the best possible outcome. And I wonder if that's the reason why so many people, outside of just people being stupid, is the reason why people, you know, call out lolli for the wrong type of reason, when it's not that thing at all, at least when it comes down to a real world sense, because it's not. It's just fictional content at the end of the day. Anybody can consume that, and you should be perfectly fine, right? At least it depends on the area that you live in the world, obviously. But still, it just is, once again, showing the annoyance of how mainstream everything is when it comes down to the anime space, and how much ass it is when it comes down to literally just being an anime fan, how much you have to put up with and deal with if you like certain things and all that sort of stuff. Basically, you like lolli content, you get called the P word. If you like, you know, ecchi content and that's your main thing, you get called a gooner. If you like, you know, anything that's not shonen, you're basically trash. It just, there is so much negativity on the western side, right? Where the eastern side, or Japan and everything like that, I don't see that shit. Or at least as far as I have been hit with, I don't see that shit whatsoever. Now, don't get me wrong, Japanese people can get mad too, right? They can definitely voice their opinions, but they're not gonna voice it nearly as bad or nearly as hard as the West do. The West is just damn near brutal when it comes down to it, and it's so ass. Again, it's so bafflingly ass that it's just like, come on, dude, right? But overall, I just wish we had the old days, man. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I wish we had the old days of the anime space where things were actually normal. and not full of random ass people that were just bored on a Tuesday that decided to come here and F shit up, right? It's really that, because what this whole damn COVID time was, when people was locked in their rooms, was basically Tumblr. That's what essentially what that was. When Tumblr got rid of all the adult content and so everybody moved to Twitter, that's what that was. When the whole lockdown happened and everybody was stuck in their rooms, everybody invaded the anime space, because that's of course what they would do, right? And it's just so ass. It just is. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. It just is ass, right? In multiple different ways. But ultimately, I just really wanted to talk about that because, one, I saw a post where somebody was basically talking about, in 2012, people say they like anime. In 2025, people say they hate anime. And that's really what made me think about this. But at the very same time too, it's not even just about liking and hating anime. It's about how people interpret other people that do like it and generally like other stuff within it. Whether it's, you know, not weird or not actually weird or whatever the hell. And essentially it's just like how people interpret this shit, how people use anime in whatever ways they decide to do so. It's just been a baffling, like, really terrible time. You know, not everything is terrible in the anime community, obviously, right? You get a lot of good people that's in there, and for sure those people should be praised up and raised up, if I'm gonna be honest, in way better ways than what we currently have. But there's a lot of aspects to it where shit just got weird, and it's kind of a terrible time. Hell, I can even go as far as to say that really in certain aspects of VTubing also is a problem too, considering that that some VTubers, you know, are anime girls and whatever, but they never watch an anime a day in their life, and it's like, what the hell are you even taking that form for? And that's just how it is. And then some people just don't really care for the anime aspect, and they'll just use it basically for whatever reason, and then that's how you get horrible people behind those beautiful looking models. Again, I'll still say it, I don't really like the person behind LXOX because they're really bad, as far as I've seen when it comes down to the evidence and how many times I've been told. But when it comes down to it, that is still the hottest model I have still ever seen. I just hate it belongs to a terrible person. But that's how it is. But hopefully though, you did enjoy this one. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow my socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until next time, boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.